Tanekumara. My name's Sage Blake. I'm a wanderer, storyteller, artist amateur, and closet Starforce fan. Imagine my surprise when I found out this thing appeared in Sage 2019. I mean, really now. Like I've said, I'm a huge Starforce nut. I've played every single game. I've come close to completing every single game. And imagine my surprise earlier in the year when it was revealed that Starforce 4 was in the works at one point or another. But, as per Capcom usual, it got cancelled. So a group of people decided, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's take the information that exists currently and make a game out of it. That's really cool, honestly, and this project is really good, all things considered. It's a bit peculiar in terms of controls and design choices on occasions, but you'll see what I mean in a couple moments when we get into this tutorial battle here. So, how's it in there, Megaman? Hang on a sec, Meggers. That's correct. I optimized a bit of the software to you. It figures, Well, anyway, what Cosmo was trying to explain involved that the Hunter VG this time around is a bit different than compared to the typical Starforce games. For one, you only get access to 4 cards at a time as opposed to 6, but the limits for choosing cards are much less restricting. For whatever reason, if you choose a support card, then you can immediately choose a battle card afterward, which the typical games wouldn't allow you to do. Other than that, typical rules apply. You can only select cards in the same row or column, or of the same type. So, for example, I could choose these 2 plasma guns here, and use them in battle. As for battle itself, it's sideways in this version, as opposed to up and down in the original. How Starforce works is you have 3 squares that you can stand on, and you can pivot around on each and every one of them and attack enemies from them. Every now and again, just like Battle Network, you can gain the ability to select new cards and continue the battle. But you also gain, outside of these cards, a basic shot ability that can either be rapid-fired by holding the button, or you can leave it alone for a bit and launch it at opponents. But now we get into one of the more interesting bits about this demo, and that is the dynamic difficulty system. So the devs advertised this on their page, but to put it in summary, you can set the game so that you can essentially play on either fixed difficulty, like in the top screen here, or on a shifting difficulty on the bottom screen here. In the latter case, every time you counter-hit an opponent, hit them with a battle card, just as they're about to attack, or kill enemies, or defeat a virus, then the meter at the bottom will increase. When it increases enough, you'll be able to upgrade the rank of your battle. This can have very drastic, and I mean very drastic, changes in battle. Case in point. There's a case in point here. On the top screen, we have a rank 10 battle, and on the bottom, we have a rank 4 battle. The rank 10 battle is a whole lot faster than the rank 4, and that can make things incredibly difficult. We're also comparing here the variations on HP types in the earlier options menu. So on the top, we have a bar, and on the bottom, we have an actual number below Mega. Before we turn Duskman into literal dust here, I need to mention a couple odd changes and quirks that are in this demo as opposed to the typical games. For one, there's no guard button, and that can be very disorienting. It was disorienting for me the first time I played this thing. I am so used to having a button that allows me to shield up and protect myself from minor attacks. I can't do that in this version. In fact, the only buttons you get are to use cards and use your buzzer. It's essentially an NES layout. Of course, if you want, you can use keyboard too, and maybe it's for the better if you've never played a Starforce game. But me, I have to use a controller. I'm sorry. Another of my eternal annoyances with this demo is the fact that the Mega Attack is permanently on offensive cards like Sword, Wide Sword, and Longsword. You know, melee-type cards. In the original game, it was originally a trigger. You'd hit down on the D-pad in order to trigger the Mega Attack. And in here, you probably would have used left, considering everything's shifted 90 degrees. But having the Mega Attack that allows you to dash up to an enemy and use the battle card on them does not work when it's not triggerable as well as my muscle memory would like it to. I thought it'd be convenient, but it more often than not ended up with me ending face first into, well, Dustman's face. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure Mega doesn't need a break to powder his face. But alas, dust to dust, ashes to ashes. And speaking of ashes, there are two difficulty settings in this game upwards of rank 10. You thought 10 was the highest? Meet S plus and S rank. These difficulties will reduce you to dust and kick your ash. Enemies move ridiculously quickly, to the point that it can be almost half a crapshoot just to hit them in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I love this difficulty, it's absolutely punishing. But sometimes it can be a little too punishing. I mean, heck, the footage you're seeing here is me trying to, and this is my fault completely, complete the entire boss fight without using the completely broken wave card in the upper right that you likely saw me finish the battle with earlier. That card is a pausing card that deals 200 damage to a single enemy. It can be very, very useful in cutting down times and making it easier to clear battles, but at the same right, do you want to use it, considering that if you decide to use it, you only get that card. You can't use it in combination with any other cards. By now, you've likely been paying attention to whatever's on the menu these days, and you'll find out, yes, this is in fact a completed file that I'm using to showcase this demo. The moment you get this demo, you will not have access to the fourth battle, the supposed EndWave, as it were. Instead, you'll have to unlock that, and in order to do so, that's why you need to complete all 3 of the original fights, and also obtain all the humor bits in the game. Every little humor skit that you unlock requires 700 Zenny and goes unrotated. In order to get Zenny, you need to do well in battles. And good luck if you try to do that on the higher difficulties. The faster you complete battles, the more Zenny you get, but I'm also sure that the higher the difficulty you play on, the more base Zenny you can get too. So it's a matter of how fast you want the enemies to go in comparison to what difficulty do you think you can clear battles quickest on. Total, you're going to need about 2100 Zenny in order to get all 3 skits. Pardon me for doing a bit of ego stroking, but whoever was in charge of writing these skits, and in general all the dialogue within this game, you're doing an amazing job emulating the original style, and I really, really would love for you to write the entirety of Starforce 4th endgame if possible. This little demo clip here is mostly here just to show that, yes, there is a slight amount of variance in Battle 2. The rotor enemies, you know, the little wheelie guys that go forward and backward, there can actually only be one of these in the map, for whatever reason. And they're also the main reason why I hate the Mega Attack, because trying to hit these guys with a sword while you're in the same row as them is impossible! They will counter-hit you, or you'll miss every single time you try to attack them. It's yeah, I mean, I know they're called rotors, but they're more like road rollers at this point. Jeez! And speaking of B-list humor, honestly, I hate it too. And For those of you who are curious about what Burger Quest might be referencing, I don't know. It's honestly just a wanton side joke within the Mega Man Starforce series. It's an entire series of games. Some of the characters actually really like it. In fact, it's actually tied to a side quest that you can do in Starforce 3 that gives you a bunch of money and an HP memory. Little things, you know? Now, hopefully I could find that hidden cheese slice in Burger Castle. And for the last of you wondering why Geostellar, the human, Omega Sis, the Ephemian, and third character, I believe his name was Kazuma Hikari. He's an ancestor of Lan Hikari in the Battle Network series. If you're wondering what their three of them are doing, exchanging witty banter like this, Starforce thing, humor item, it's also in Battle Network. It's just a bunch of random jokes that the devs decided, hey, you know what'd be funny? Let's just throw something out here that may or may not be dad humor. It's good humor sometimes. It's grown-worthy humor other times. And in some cases, it just completely flies over your head. But suddenly plot, and this may look like it's coming out of left field, but for those people who are very familiar with Starforce, the leak that occurred around October, or was it September? I forget. There was a bit of a leak about Starforce 4 data, and one of the big plot items was that Geostellar, Kazuma, and Omega Sis were all going to be on the run from the Saddle Police, who were originally neutral to semi-beneficial people within the original plotline, and the entire fourth game would involve hacking. Of course, we only get shades of that in this demo here because, well, it's a demo, but even still, for a good 5 months progress, it's a pretty good product. And that concludes with the battle against the wizard Shine Diamond, who... this battle. It's a really great fight, but as you're seeing here on the right, it's obscene. It can be obscenely easy with how slow-paced everything gets on lower difficulties, but on rank 10, S and S+, he gets turbo speed, practically. Not to mention that he's the only enemy in this demo that can deal 20 damage in a single hit. Combine that with rock attacks that come from the right and sweep left that can be destroyable by the Buster, but look exactly like the rocks that fall on you from above, and the fact that he starts with 700 health, it makes for a boss fight that can be incredibly stressful to the point of breaking your controller if you're that type of a gamer. Though, in retrospect, the fact that I struggle with this guy might be because I end up playing with minimum everything on my Buster, so that means minimum power, minimum charge rate, and also minimum rapid fire. If I decided to cap those, then I probably wouldn't struggle, but apparently I just don't pay attention to menus. Don't get me wrong, I like hard games, and apparently I am such a glutton for punishment that I prefer Diamond Hard as opposed to Carbon Hard. With that boss fight out of the way, I'm gonna have to leave it here. If you ever want to try looking up and playing one of the Starforce games, you could probably find the ROMs online. Or, if you're lucky, find an original cart. I've got original carts of all three of them, honestly. And they're pretty fun games. If you like Battle Network, and I've always wanted to try playing Starforce, give this demo a shot. It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough of an analog that you can kind of feel for how you're supposed to play it. I understand that it could be somewhat off-putting going between the two of them, considering Battle Network gives you 9 different tiles, and Starforce only gives you 3. But even then, Starforce tends to allow for a bit more tactics and strategy in the use of its cards and the abilities that you're given. But with all things said and done, I think it's about time I return to the Void. Till again, Dalagit.